days and weeks that we have in school. Our board meeting today, work session today, is a little heavier than normal because we don't have a regular meeting in December, so thank you for recognizing that. Please be patient. We'll try to get through it. To start off with, I'd like to introduce Ms. Janice Hernandez. She's going to lead us in this invocation, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together this day. We ask for your hand of blessings on this meeting. We ask that you would guide and direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom and productivity. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work and our goals this day. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On our Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. But then we have three tonight, Mr. President. We'll just go in order if that's okay with you.
The overnight trip to the softball team.
So moved. Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Y'all are so quick today. All right, the next thing is Castem.
Yes, Castem is taking a trip to the HEB camp in Leakey, Texas. It's an overnight camp of all the students there. It's part of the HEB Holdsworth, well, not Holdsworth, but CAST network.
What they're doing through the CAST network for all the campuses, giving them an opportunity, CAST Med, CAST Tech, and CAST-M. Since it is an HEB camp, they've extended that opportunity to do it 2 days. So it's, I think it's one overnight that the students can go there and do leadership activities.
I so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. The challenge program, ASCP.
I think, do we have Victoria here? So this is the after-school challenge program, and it's on page 9 of your booklet. We were able to work with the city of San Antonio after several years of requests to move from a 3-day program to a 5-day program. It's a matching grant, and they were finally able to do that. And so now our after-school students and parents have access to 5 days all week. And so our matching fund is $77,815, and the city of San Antonio puts in the same amount so we can provide those opportunities and experiences for students at 8 of our campuses that are inside the city of San Antonio. So we're asking, this is budget, so we're asking the board to approve the MOU for that program for the next year.
Which schools are they?
They are Indian Creek, Hidden Cove, Sky Harbor, Sun Valley, Meadow Creek, Southwest Elementary, Bob Hope, and Supply Shore Park.
I have Medio Creek, if that's not inside. Isn't Medio Creek outside, or is it inside?
It's inside the city limits,
Oh, the city limits, I was thinking for.
the loop, yeah.
Okay.
Need a motion.
I move.
Motion
Good job.
made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Moving down to information, TAS, USA, potential partnership presentation.
Yes, this is an item that we've had some kind of parameter conversation around. It's an opportunity that's coming through a partnership with Texas A&M San Antonio. As you guys know, that there are 7 ISDs on the south side of San Antonio who have signed a commitment MOU to work together collaboratively in partnerships. And this is one of the opportunities in that agreement. And so we have Dr. Shapiris, Dr. Carl Shapiris, with us, Dean of Education from Texas A&M San Antonio. And at the end of the day, this is an 1882 opportunity for higher education. And so he's put together a really good slide to kind of explain what this partnership could look like if you go down this pathway. What are some of the benefits that could come from this by creating a partnership? So I'm going to turn it over to Carl. You get it, and I'll kind of chime in to his presentation. But this is an opportunity to give our trustees more information and really field some questions that you may have about what that could look like.
Let me just start by saying thank you for letting me come in and speak with you all today. And sorry for interrupting your meal. I understand working lunches, do them every day. And so, as you all are aware, and I want to thank, we've engaged in the Aspire agreement with the 7 districts in South Bear County, and I want to thank you all for your support in doing that. I think it's a real game changer for South Bear County, for us all to work together in this. And part of that Aspire agreement is for us to investigate ways to do partnerships that would be under the Senate Bill 1882. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to talk about why university-school partnerships are important, and what we can do from the College of Education and Human Development and Texas A&M University San Antonio. I want to first start by saying it's a pleasure to work with Dr. Lee. You all know that he's a great superintendent already, and to have the vision that he has, it makes it very easy to do these types of partnerships and to work together. And so it is easy for us as A&M San Antonio, when you have a good superintendent, to walk in and say, this is a district where we want to partner, and somebody that we want to have a long-term relationship with. So we started having these conversations sometime in the spring about how we can advance working with Southwest. You guys already do so many things fabulously, so it's not about the idea of what could we come in and do as a university. It's how do we add to what's already going well, and how do we help to just advance the outcomes for students in addition to what you're already doing. So I wanted to make that clear up front. If you're not familiar with Senate Bill 1882, this was passed a couple of years ago, and it provides incentives for schools to authorize partnerships. And there's a couple of different models that we're looking at, but for Southwest ISD, what we're talking really about is innovation. And the way that it's funded is that 1882 gives the average daily attendance dollars to the district, and then there's a difference between that and what a typical school, charter school outside of a district would cost. There's a funding model that would go to the partner. So the $88 stay with the district, and the additional dollars go with the partner in the operation of the school. So what we end up doing is converting an existing school to a partnership in the district. We work on it together, jointly operating it, and we wrap around the school to give it the opportunity to have the input from a higher ed partner. So what we start with is the district authorizes the subchapter SB 1882 for us to move forward with the partnership. Once that happens, we have a university-based board that would operate with what we're creating as an institute for school and community partnerships under the College of Education and Human Development. And then we would work on the autonomies with the district on what, by rule and negotiation, how we would work together. And then we would work on what accountability measures we would put together as well. And so this would all be a negotiated agreement that we would work on for the partnership and operation. What the benefit is that the state funding doesn't end up costing the district anything in order to do the partnership. So you receive the current funding models that you have. Additional funding comes in under 1882, and we have a percentage split that we negotiate with the district on those additional dollars. And what we do with the percentage we would receive is drive those dollars right back into the schools where we partner. So it's really for doing a couple of things. And where we start is by looking at partner, who you would want to work with. And we've decided with Dr. Herseth that we really want to look at just us working with Southwest, and that's why we wanted to come in and present with you. And then you would develop an authorization for us to do the partnership. We would formalize it with a performance agreement that we would vet through with TEA as well. We'd submit those to TEA afterward, and those are due in March if we were interested in moving something forward. And then TEA would approve the additional funding model for it to come back to Southwest and San Antonio. And what they want to do when they review these applications is make sure that you have a good partner that is able and capable of doing performance accountability, that we have the capacity to operate in that way, that we are able to work with you in full partnership over staffing, management, accountability, budgeting, all of those kind of things. And that we have a minimum full-time representative that is tied to the operation of the partnership. So I'll get into the model and what we plan to do in a minute, but what I really want to talk about is why Southwest might want to consider working with us as an institution of higher education. First off, we have the A&M system family. Aggie,
No.
all right, so, any territory? But we've got the Texas A&M Family System. Even if you're not an Aggie, you know the brand is really safe. And so we are one of the 11 institutions for A&M. And what that does when you put into a partnership with one of the institutions, you leverage the brand of the whole A&M system. And so we have the reach, the influence, the recognition, the connections to help advance what you're already doing at Southwest ISD. We, as an institution, A&M San Antonio, share the same mission and goals of the A&M system. And so we are district-focused, we're student-focused, we're community-focused, and if you look at our mission statement, it really is about our dedication to the south side of Bexar County. So why A&M San Antonio? I think you guys recognize from the community, from the newspapers, from the stories that we're getting, even with the Aspire agreement, of how much attention that's received. A&M has a really strong connection to the community. And so we are recognized as an institution that's dedicated to changing lives, that's dedicated to the south side of Bexar County, and that we really put our actions where our words are. So I think having higher education in the south side of Bexar County is such a critical thing that's happened with A&M San Antonio. It creates a beacon of hope. And we all know, whether we're talking about Southwest ISD or we're talking about any other district in the South Bexar County, educational attainment is a huge issue. And we've got to make sure that we are creating that pathway for kids to go to college and for them to believe that they can go to college. Because that's one of the things we find all the time across the districts we serve, is that kids don't always believe that's an opportunity for them. And so creating that pathway, creating that connection with the higher education partner, where they can see the branding, where they can see A&M San Antonio is here, and it's an easy pathway for them to go to college. So what we end up doing is creating a workforce pathway by working with the district, creating that pathway for them to go to college, and we mentoring and supervising and tutoring. We're then creating that workforce for the future. So we are focused as a curriculum on problem-based learning, challenge-based learning. We help people through our university work on real-world problems. And so we would take that into the partnerships with the schools and help to advance the current pathways that are there, but also to give those additional experiential opportunities that a university has to offer. So the A&M SA brand is really about a distinct culture. As you all know, we are a Hispanic serving institution. We have about 74% of our students are Hispanic. We also have over 70% that are first-generation college students. We understand the challenges that come from poverty. A lot of our students that come in have come from poverty-stricken neighborhoods and families. And so we put together a lot of efforts to address those things, just like Southwest ISD does. And so it's a natural marriage for us to work together with Southwest on some of those same challenges. And so we really see, by being in South Bexar County, that we are all part of A&M San Antonio, that we're already all part of family, as Dr. V was saying. Once you get in the door here at Southwest, you're a part of the family. It's the same at A&M SA. We really consider this part of our neighborhood to be in Southwest. So we have some brand pillars. One, we know that San Antonio is more than just a city. It's our community, it's our home, and we have to do everything we can do to advance it. So that's a big part of it. The Texas A&M System family is something that we have core values. We're connected to a global network, so we have to leverage that to advance the things we want to do in San Antonio. We're also thinking about how do we transform not just communities but individuals and increase the greater good. And then the last piece is breaking through ceilings, making sure that we're changing the dynamics and the educational attainment and the careers and the prosperity of South Bexar County through the work that we're doing. So why us? We have 3 departments within the College of Education and Human Development. We have curriculum instruction, we have educator and leadership preparation, and then we have health, counseling, health, and kinesiology. And the reason I'm telling you all of this is because these departments would all wrap around what we do in a partnership. All of our faculty, all of our students, wrapping around from all of these different areas, from education, educator preparation, curriculum development, from mental health counseling, school counseling, kinesiology, educational leadership, all wrapping around those school partnerships for us to help to advance the community. We also have our educator preparation program, which does the field experience components for our clinical teachers. We have a number of clinical teachers that are placed in the district, and we would work to do paid clinical placements for those students in the district. And then we have just very practice-oriented faculty. Often in higher education, you have folks that come in that are in the ivory tower. If you look in the College of Education and Human Development, while we have really excellent researchers, they all come from education backgrounds. And so they have that connection to the public schools. They know what it's like to be in a classroom. They understand the dynamics of a public school. And they are already connected in many ways to public school districts. So what we're working on in this model and what we're proposing is through an SB 1882 partnership, there's a number of things we could do with funding models. One, and the most important, is we're improving overall student outcomes for the district. And more than anything, that's the most critical piece, right? So working in conjunction with the district and with Dr. V's staff and figuring out how do we do the best thing we can to identify needs areas, areas that we can bring our expertise in and support, and do it jointly so that we can make sure that we have a true impact that we can measure. But across the board with the funding model through the SB 1882, what I mentioned earlier, one of the things we want to do is take some of those funds and for the partnership school be able to fund year-long clinical placements for our student teachers. So they would stay and have this consistency with the district. Our goal would then be for them to stay, if the opportunity presents itself, within the district once they graduate and hire. As you all know, teacher retention across the country is a big issue. And so what we believe is if we could wrap around and bring those students in from the time their clinical placements, select the students that you want for the district, and we support them as they go through their first few years of their teaching, that retention rate's going to improve dramatically. And so what we want to do is take some of those dollars and be able to underwrite graduate education for the teachers in those partnership schools. So that way that we can increase the number of teachers that have master's degrees in the school, and we can have that support system. What we would place is a faculty member in residence. Is that my time?
Not you, no. You're good, you're good.
Oh, okay. I thought you were being gentle. So what we would do is place a faculty member in residence at each of the school sites. And that would be one of our professors who would be there full time. And we're already doing this model in some way with CAST-STEM, where we have a teacher there that's underwritten from a grant from CAST-STEM. So we're wanting to expand that and to do this through the 1882 partnership. And that professor would be there full-time to support the teachers, to mentor, to support the clinical students, to support the principal, and help in every way they possibly can, to help drive some data outcomes and do some research. So they would be there. We'd also have co-located academic advisors on site for the high schools. We would help provide some mental health services for students through our mental health counseling program, create Grow Your Own grants where we would identify as we already did for one of your teachers in Southwest ISD this year with a full scholarship to move into our principal certification program, provide mentorship, teacher incubation opportunities. We would also work on the dual credit components and underwrite that, which is a big cost savings then to the district, because we would take those $18.80 at $2 and underwrite the cost of the dual credit component. So that would also be a big part of that. In addition, we then use our tools as higher education to work on practice applied research that are all about school operation and school success for the district. So you get additional folks that are helping out with all the data that you already have on hand, helping you advance and look at ways that we can do things even better than what we're already doing. Any questions about the model of what we would do with 18 before I move forward?
Did you say that that school district or that entity, the new entity, would have its own board?
I did.
And what is that?
And that's required by the state when you do an 1882, that there has to be an advisory board.
Okay, when you say advisory, is that somehow taking the place of this school board, or are you like in charge now and we have no say of what goes on in that school?
When you do an 1882, the actual governing authority goes to the partner.
Right, so we would just be in essence giving away one of our schools.
Well, I don't look at it that way.
But really, we
Yeah.
would.
Because why I'm saying I don't look at it that way is because what we would be doing is jointly agreeing on the operation of the school. This is very different than an independent entity coming in and taking over 100%. We're not asking for the $88. So all those teachers and the principal will report through the school district still. We would work together on what that performance agreement would be. So the oversight, yes, would be from us and from our board of the operation, but we jointly manage the school together.
And the advisory board, is that how do you pick that advisory board? Are they elected? Are they
No,
chosen?
They're appointed.
Who appoints them?
And they would come through A&M San Antonio's leadership.
So you're actually having a school district of your own.
Well, basically, this board would contract with that board for a period of duration of time to say that we want to become this 18, this in-district charter, we want to become this partnership that allows more access for Texas A&M to create seamless pathways for students to go to college. And so they get to come onto the campus and explore and put a clinician there and create four-year university dual credit opportunities, which are things our students will have access to. So those things take additional funds, and so the additional funds from the partnership. And yes, the state did put that caveat to it. It's nothing that we have put together, but the state did put this caveat that says that this board can contract with the other advisory board. Every conversation I've been involved with Dr. Shapiro is that they have no intent of doing anything but letting that entity still remain within the district, and we would do things the way we do them. But it is a contract, basically.
The intent scares me because it's never anyone's outspoken intent to do something that we would disagree with. It doesn't matter if it's their intent, because they can still do it, right? What is the difference between this and what SAISD has been doing, just like turning over their schools to charter schools? What is the difference?
Could I answer that? So when you do the contract and the agreement, there's points of it that are opt-in and opt-out with the district. We have no intent of wanting to run your transportation. We don't want to run your staff.
That's like that's mundane, right? I mean, it's not mundane, but that's like nuts and bolts. And so we still have to do that.
Right.
As a school district, we're still doing like the transportation, the maintenance, the food services, all the
Right.
stuff that we have to do anyway. But
You wouldn't have to if you turned it all over.
But how many dollars are we looking at extra per kid to enter into this?
And it varies depending on how many, because there's more and more schools who are kind of doing this in the state of Texas. This opportunity would be the first comprehensive high school model and higher ed model in the state of Texas. So it is different. I would say that the dollars would vary from $700 to $1,000 per student.
And to answer the first question about how is this different from SAISD, there's been no public higher ed institution that's done this. We would be the first public higher ed institution to do this model under 1882. What SAISD has done is really done takeover models where they've given the charter to an independent entity to run the entire school. And like I said, what we would have is the staff still reporting through Dr. Verstedt. They would not be A&M San Antonio staff except for the extra people we would pay for underneath the agreement. So that full-time faculty and residents, the clinical teaching staff, that kind of thing.
It's kind of scary, and then I was just reminded a few years ago, and some of you are probably too young to remember the Garza ISD.
I remember.
That's what it reminds, it just scares me a little bit that they're gonna come in and make their own little school district. And then we have, I mean, we already have growing pains with our class STEM because it's almost its own entity within our school district. We haven't even worked that problem out. And then this is like even bigger. So, I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity to give to our kids like more of the higher education, but I don't know that, I mean, isn't it something we could work with the colleges ourselves and put more money into that ourselves rather than jumping the gun and giving away one of our schools?
Well, question, are these students going to be with you all the time?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, are they going to leave our campus and be over here?
Oh, no. This is not, it would stay with the same exact
Oh,
campus.
you're thinking of giving away Southwest Legacy.
Okay.
We're not giving away, we're
I'm sorry.
contracting with for a duration of time, under our, a policy that the board would either approve or not approve. And that opportunity takes a lot of this focus where A&M works with the larger scope of South Side of San Antonio and puts this particular scope of these students create a pathway, provide them dual credit, provide our teachers the opportunity to earn their masters through the additional funds, put the professors from A&M onto the campus to kind of work with some theories and support teachers differently. So, but there is a part of this that does not sit really in tune or in line with what we understand as traditional schools. And so you see more of these innovative partnerships that are happening throughout the state. I don't know the exact number of where it was year one, where it is today. I can try to find that number for you. I can say that there is a trust factor with Texas A&M, and there's a higher education institute, and I understand the difference between intent and reality, but I would say my trust level is at 100%, that there is nothing that we haven't discussed that we would not do or partner with, and I think this is part of that whole, the whole skyline spectrum of education is changing over time, and when these other entities pop up around us, which they are, I just sent you guys an email the other day, people are looking for those types of innovative programs. This provides us a leg up to create an innovative partnership, and you're right, in many circles it will be seen as you're giving away that school. It's not giving away, we're creating a strong partnership with a higher education. We're not doing it with a nonprofit, we're doing it with a higher education institute that's in our backyard. And we know that not enough of our students are choosing to go to college. And we also embrace the fact not all students have to go to college, but even if we embrace that, we still need more of our students choosing college. We see instances where they're accruing dual credit through the year, they graduate, and then they accrue no other college credit beyond that. Maybe working with a higher education institute, we can try to create, working together with them, some other opportunities where we get more students going into college. The one program we're very interested in is our teacher preparation program, by creating a 2+2+2, hopefully, model towards a master's degree. Students start that program in high school. They're even going to work with college, or they transition straight to a four-year university. But we think that the proximity of Southwest Legacy, the programs and opportunities that exist at Texas A&M is a really great opportunity to, and you're right, it's a 5-year chance. But I'm very confident in folks that we know at A&M that their intentions are to do right by our kids and our community.
And how is that going to be equitable at all for our kids that are going to South the Dragons?
Yeah.
I mean, we're real big into equity, right? Because we're already making that campus equitable in programs and everything, because we don't want our kids to miss out. So what about those 2,500 kids that, well, now if I have a kid there, well, I want them over there. So what's going to happen there?
It's a great question. So part of creating the innovative opportunity is you create a laboratory where you can learn things, and if we create this pathway that's more seamless for students over here, what we did there is could apply over in non-1882, but the idea that our kids are transferring over there using this path, and we apply the same model to Southwest High School, that needs to be worked out, but it exists. So the idea is create these opportunities, learn from them, and then take what you learned and apply it to non-1882 partnership.
And I have a question, so the staff and the administration, would they answer to you? Or would they answer to a different person? Who would be,
Who's their supervisor?
who's their, right?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, it would be basically, as I report to this board, basically for those entities report to that board, but the day-to-day employees would be Southwest ISD.
So we would
Just like
hire
the other
them
day.
and we would decide who gets promoted and who gets put in place, I guess.
No.
Well,
in
would
that
go to
school.
that.
Oh, okay.
Then you contract with that duration. of
What if
time.
they send a teacher like me over here to, what would you do?
First of all, I thank God that.
So you guys
but if
would do the
there was an
hiring?
issue, So
we do
so
it
the
jointly.
day-to-day operations technically go to the advisor. For that particular
Thing
school.
about it, except recommend that they get rid of
They would have that authority through your contract with them.
Can I explain though, with the contract piece, we have no also desire to be the HR piece as well. So we want to work with the district and have voice in hiring, but not to take it over 100%. And we would write that into our performance agreement. And so we want to have, so we are doing this with other districts too, and looking at it right now with 4 total schools, including the one we're looking at with Southwest ISD.
Would there be any problem with athletics for these kids?
None that I can
Seems
foresee.
like to me, every time we add more classes, it backs off with either theater or arts or athletics,
Right.
something like that, because we add so many things they have to pay.
And we're not going to add anything that Dr. V wouldn't want us to add.
You know,
Well, this,
I believe what both of you are saying, but the whole world is going to this because our grade, the state comes out and says you have to make this and we're making this. So we try 1,000 different things to bring it up to you.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is that I don't think the 1882 partnership is going to impact the athletics or arts. I think if the state does something different, of course that does. But we would be working together. If there's a new pathway we have to create, we'd be creating that jointly. But in terms of the hiring, we would, while the state requires that we have a say in that process, we don't want to take it over. We want to do that jointly and just be able to
Dr. Barr, have a
collaborate.
question, please.
Yes.
yeah, it's not really a question, it's more of a thought, and that is, because my question was, are they still the Titans? Yes. I know that sounds funny, but the point of that question is, if it is a big transparent change, and it looks like to them and everybody else that they're not part of the school district anymore, I think that's bad. I don't
We
think
would
that
not want to
works.
change your
If
school name.
if it was transparent, in other words, it's just taking place and all that's really changing is the leadership structure with regard to that project, well, that may be something different. But we clearly don't want a situation where they're no longer the Titans. if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we,
That's a great comment, and you're right, nothing on the ground changed.
Back when Senate Bill 1882 was being looked at, well, the year 18 is good. The idea behind it was to create an opportunity for collaboration, not only between higher ed and the school district, but between school districts, to keep the costs low, creating better opportunities, greater opportunities for our kids. And I think it's done that in writing. We haven't seen it done yet because nobody's been in it that long yet. I mean, there's some great partnerships already. And I think one of the intents in the beginning was to show the state, people in Austin, that we could collaborate versus consolidate. Because consolidation is going to be a big item next year at the House down in Austin. In fact, that's one of our main topics at the Bear County Coalition meeting on Thursday night. We're having people from TASB come down and talk to us about how to fight consolidation, because there's going to be a big push for consolidation. And I think by doing things like this and by supporting our superintendent, we can show that we can collaborate. And I am sure that if in a couple of years this is really going bad, I don't see A&M wanting to make us stick to that contract, and I don't see Lloyd making us stick to that contract. But I also don't see it happening in 2 years where it goes bad. I think it's a great opportunity for our kids. And it's unfortunate that we can't involve both high schools right off the bat. But I think there will be an opportunity. And just like right now, we're giving kids at Legacy the opportunity to do stuff at Southwest, and Southwest kids an opportunity to do stuff at Legacy if they don't offer it. And we're trying to be equitable now and trying to...
Actually, we're putting programs.
Yeah, putting programs now, because that sharing is not, money-wise, working out very well. But I think it would be a great opportunity for us to look into, and change is always about. And we're not taking any action tonight. I think it's something for us to continue to study, continue to look at. Let's put all our questions together, get them to go in, and let's continue to talk.
I'd like to make a comment as well. I'm also a little bit leery of something that was created by the state to kind of push forward the agenda of charter schools and the pushing back on public education and replacement of. To me, sometimes this smacks a little bit of taking local control from elected officials by communities and placing it in the hands of and I mean, I'm sure, everybody has good intentions and all this other stuff, but at the same time, the people that are going to be on this board are not going to be held accountable by the community. How can they be, right? They're appointed, they're not elected. At the end of the day, we will be held accountable if anything happens, or if things go sideways, or there's any kind of issue or problem. So we have to make sure that we are very aware of the things that could come from it. I think Sylvester's correct. There's so much room for opportunity and for growth and for learning. I think we have to really, really hammer it out. Think about it. Think about all the things that could become a problem and anticipate them so that we can write them into a contract. I'm not closing my mind to it. I just want to be careful about how we do this, and I don't want this to be something that continues to propel the charter idea at the expense of the public schools and community schools. And
100% agree with you. And for those of you who have looked at the 1882, the intent was really designed for this collaboration and partnership with higher education. It has taken on the charter feel, and that has given it some negative connotations,
Right.
especially with school boards. The only institutional university partnership has been with Texas Wesleyan, and that one is going well. But we know that in a lot of cases, the charter takeovers have gone very poorly. So that's why I was very careful to say that's not what our intent is, or even under contract how we would write it. We really want it to be a joint partnership.
But does it add to that backstory? The answer is yes, it does. to participate in, I'm just looking at the opportunities that's going to afford our students.
Right.
And I think they are there for our students, and I think if we're in this partnership, if we don't do this, we'll never know. If we do it, it does have a time period that exhausts at some point. But it's basically saying, we're going to contract with this higher education university, not considering any other entity, nonprofit, or any other foundation thing. Our interest is because it creates a partnership. And we're talking over here, don't look at the outcome of this, but once upon a time, we had a medicine project in our district that was, at its time, it was considered innovative, and it was a contract that we did with an outside entity. And it had a lot of benefit to it at the time when technology was emerging into education and how you get access to that technology. Well, this is that same type of opportunity that says this is an innovative opportunity. It does come at a cost, and that cost is contracting out to another entity. That other entity is in more information we want to bring you back in January or February, because I think we need to keep talking about this. Over time, the application deadline is in March. You have that timeline, I believe, in the handout that you have here. But we'll keep talking about that. On the governing structure is representation from Southwest ISD. That sits as the position, just like everyone you sit in the position. Southwest ISD will have a position on that as well. Now, the majority of that governing structure has to be the higher education board. So as long as it's 51-49, that meets the criteria that the state set out to be able to trigger the additional funding and be considered a partnership.
Can I just ask one quick question? I'm looking at the list of these rural partnerships that are on here. The majority are elementary, middle school, and the biggest school district is SAISD, and they took their CAST, I say take, they partnered with them for their CAST. So why isn't CAST on the board instead of partnering with Legacy?
We at the time when CAST bought this as an opportunity with a nonprofit, I believe it was the direction at that time that we have no interest of creating an 1882 with a nonprofit like the CAST network. We like the idea, and so we're able to craft that, design that around not doing an 1882 partnership. So CAST does sit out here. We have had that conversation about that opportunity. But you asked a while ago the difference between what's this and SAISD is doing. In our district, we always believe what's good for a small group of students should be good for all of our students. And we're trying to apply that same philosophy to this, is that if we're going to do this, let's do it with a comprehensive high school, because if one student benefits, maybe 2,000 students could benefit from this period. Part of the other criteria to do this is it has to be its own standalone campus. And so if we just wanted to create a teacher preparation pathway for students, we would have to take them out of that building and create a whole different administrative group, a whole different teacher group, if we can, with the extra dollars to let us do, but then we get to do all this other stuff with Texas A&M Highway. So the difference is we're taking the macro approach that says if we're going to partner, let's partner with one of our comprehensive high schools and see what we can learn from that, what benefits come from that, what pathways we create for our students, as opposed to saying we want to do something really, really great for 200 students. So that's the difference.
And why did we decide on Legacy? Will we have room to
Proximity.
include Southwest in the
That's right.
future? Or is there only a certain amount of space, limited, enrollment, or what?
Well, I think the proximity of Legacy, I think when we look at the data, we don't have real good data yet, but traditionally, that is an area that we really want to move the needle and more students choose college after graduation. And both of our high schools can, but if you look at the numbers, that's really where we want to make collective impact. Doesn't mean what we learned from there, we can apply it to our other non-1882. So we're trying to be very prescriptive in one focus area, as opposed to just trying to do everything everywhere. We won't get anything done.
Right.
Let's just try something right here.
The best thing we can do is sit down with the board and look at this 2 or 3 more times, so where everybody understands what's going on.
And also with our attorneys.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like with us, not
Yeah.
like the attorney said, I want to sit down with the attorney and ask, like, how are we gonna, what are we giving away? My whole thing is, I'm with Yolanda, we're gonna give away our authority, and then we're the ones that are gonna get all the parent problems, because, if there are any, because that board is not gonna be accountable to a voter, so we're accountable to the voters. And so, if we're gonna be giving away our rights, or our representation, or whatever, then that's gonna be a problem. So, I wanna speak, like, really well with the attorneys on whatever we decide.
And Dr. Verstoff, at our next time we talk about this, if you could bring us the pitfalls that have been encountered by these partnerships between the charter companies, and, you know, like, I know that there have been quite a few issues. I would like to be better aware of what those were, so that maybe we can discuss how we're going to avoid some of these things with our partnerships.
I'd just like to share, there was a question regarding why would we select Legacy over Southwest High School per se. And I think that we are trying to provide equitable outcomes to kids at Legacy. And what we know to be true right now at Legacy is we have a very young staff. The average tenure and years of experience of that staff is very young, but they're a good staff. Okay, that they're a really good staff, but they're young. We are kind of piecemealing together some of our dual credit opportunities for kids there by doing this video tape in to that campus in particular. And I think that by having the partnership specifically pertaining to Southwest Legacy, we are going to be providing equitable outcomes to kids. They're not going to be equal to Southwest High School, but at Southwest High School currently right now, you have a very mature staff. You have a dual credit staff that has been there for years and years and years, and unfortunately, we just don't have that at Legacy. So our solutions to some of that work is to piecemeal together a plan to provide equitable outcomes to kids at Southwest Legacy, when in fact the partnership could help us facilitate that and move that forward very quickly. In addition to that, in the sense that Southwest Legacy students come from a feeder pattern that is strategically underserved in the city of San Antonio, not just our district, but the idea in a child's mind, in a parent's mind, that my child is going to go to Texas A&M San Antonio starts fairly young, and it's about creating a culture shift in their thinking, in that yes, they can, right? So why did we pick Legacy? It is close in proximity, and we really are searching for a way to provide equitable outcomes to kids at that campus versus what has been historically a very comprehensive, well-designed dual credit program at Southwest High School, where we have a staff that supports that, and we don't have that at Legacy. So I just wanted to say that.
I'll sit here and talk all day long if you want. I'll give each gentleman a minute or so to close up, and we're going to play the old cut the neck.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you, sir.
Perfectly fine. And just to say that we came to the table with no intent for a particular school. We came and sat down with the staff, and with Dr. V, and said, where can we be of the most help? And what can we do together, and what's going to be the most benefit? And so that's how we approached it, with no preconception of which schools we would tackle. And so we want to have an opportunity to work with you. We're here as part of the community. We think this is really going to be a benefit to your parents, to your students, to your teachers as well, because of the graduate education component.
Sounds very cool.
Right, and we just want to be here as a support. And so I fully agree going to the attorneys and talking, working through the idea of what a performance agreement would look like, so you at least have an understanding of what goes into it. And that way you can make a decision fully informed. As the intent of today was to begin the discussion. One point that I just want to clarify is the state funding model would need to be submitted to TEA by March, which would mean a decision would have to come before then in order for us to move forward with that. So I just wanted to give you the appropriate timeline. So I just want to thank you all for letting me come and talk with you all today, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Verstoff.
Sure, I think Dr. Perrin He's really done a great job at A&M, and a great partner, a great sounding board. So thank you for coming and taking time, putting all this together. And we look forward, I want to thank the board for letting us at least venture into the arena of innovation and taking it to the Edison project back in the day when it was considered innovation. I look forward to the continued conversation, and I know we have other items on the agenda. So thank you for the opportunity, and the next time we meet, we'll bring some additional items, and we'll bring some governing instruction ideas, what that looks like to everyone. But you're right, there are scary points along the roadway, the runway of innovation, and definitely there are a lot around this. But I'm confident in the partnership, and I think our students will benefit tenfold from the opportunity.
I'm up there in 1892 if they used all the big words.
1892 was a great year. So
I wanted to keep pushing the timeline so I could get the. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along. Policy ELA.
Should, this is a, thank you, Mr. President. So this is the first reading of a local policy ELA. Our policy online already includes a legal ELA, and the whole ELA is basically about everything we just talked about. We do not have a local policy. Going through the process of having a policy doesn't mean you employ the policy, it just means that you have one. And so this basically proposed policy, we've talked about the senior staff, we have sent it to the legal team at CASB, and they've kind of looked at it and made modifications and blessed the parts we changed. But basically, this explains the partner application process, gives some definitions. It talks about the review committee, which basically is, as we go through this, we have a committee. It's basically senior staff who's looking at this. I know Delilah's doing some work with some professors at Texas A&M talking about some possibilities. So our plan is not even developed completely yet. An idea we're working off of, and so it's about us kind of plowing the road together. This policy is part of that road. Basically, we have a review committee, talks about the, under the review committee, the conflicts of interest, the process of reviewing. Carl mentioned the performance contract. Basically, this board would create a contract with that entity and tell them these are the things we want to see moved. So if we want more kids going to college, we'll put a baseline and we want it to increase by this much every year for the next 5 years on average. We want more kids to pass SAT. And so we get to put what the performance things are in that contract with them. It talks about the oversight evaluation. I would encourage everyone to look at that. It talks about this board does an annual evaluation of that board. We would do that process and work with our board. So you basically present to them an evaluation says, these are the things that we wanted you to remove, and here's how we feel that you are at the time. This board can put that board on probation if they don't meet that criteria after year
They
one.
have 51%, and we can put them on probation.
Yes, sir. You
How
basically
many-
putting them on notice.
On that board, how many can it be school board members from this district that are on that board?
I don't believe it can be school board members. The way I read it, it's an employee, a Southwest ISD employee. Now, maybe it could be a trustee, I can check. But I think that might be a conflict. I don't think they're paid for it.
remembers this is videotaped, right?
This ELA policy basically outlines this board's ability and authority to revocate that charter. Contract, if it's not working out for them, you have to put them on notice, you have to tell them that they're failing, and if they don't get it right the next year, there's a process that you can revocate that contract you have with them. I know one of the changes that we put in here, and CASB approved it, was on page 49 under contract renewal. After a 5-year period, this board can say that we want to renew the contract, and things are working really well, more kids going, we like it, Great Point hasn't changed anything in our district, because I don't think beyond the conversation at this level, you're going to see anything, any different there, other than there's going to be other Texas A&M folks on our campus. But the legal has 10-year, and then the local has put a 5-year duration to it, and we said that's fine. that we can do it 5-year increment as opposed to 10. And then on the last page is this local policy, which is several pages long, you're welcome to read it. We included item number 4 under decisions not to renew on page 50. This wasn't on the legal, but we added on local. Other reason that is determined by the board not to renew. And so there's some things that we want to give the board complete autonomy. That says it didn't work and we're just not happy. We went out and did that in 5 years. Yeah, and if it's going to miss during the second year, there's a process to go through to
Can you give us a printed copy of that thing?
I was just gonna say that.
Before you leave?
Yeah.
It's in our work packet, right?
Yeah, that-
I'd like a printed one too.
I'll give you a printed one.
Mhm.
So this is the first reading, no action item. So if you
Okay.
have any questions, actually reach out to me or ask me, I'll be happy to answer.
When are we gonna meet? I mean, we have to decide by February, I guess, the board meeting in February, that's only 2 months, so. When
Well-
are we gonna be able to really talk about it?
January brown bag, January board meeting, February brown bag. I think we're gonna have 3 opportunities to come and talk.
December 24th.
When can you bring us the information that Yolanda requested about pitfalls involving other districts that have gone this way?
I think I'd like to talk to Yolanda outside this meeting and get more specific
Feedback.
on what to want. So as soon as we can gather it, we gather it. I think it's a great thing to look at.
All right, moving right along, literacy grant.
This is gonna be easy.
Yes.
This is gonna be fun.
That's more fun. Oh, thank God. It's a free innovative one.
Hello, this will be short and quick, and so thank you for allowing us to take a few minutes of your time. I do have some people here that I'd like to introduce. I have Janie from Region 20. I'll let her formally introduce herself. Joelle, also from Region 20, and then I have Amy from North with the University of Chicago. And then they're just going to give you a little bit of an update of a literacy grant that we have at 3 of our elementary campuses: Sky Harbor Elementary, Hidden Cove Elementary, and Indian Creek Elementary. So this is the second year of the grant. We have the grant for 3 years. And so we thought we haven't given the board or senior staff an update on what's happening at those campuses. So we wanted to take a few minutes to let you know that today.
I'm going to go ahead and let Lady.
I've already got one.
first, and
Okay.
then
Okay, my name is Jamie Anderson. I'm for Region 20. I'm an educational consultant for early literacy. I also do secondary work as well. So thank you so much for allowing me to come and visit your campus and work with your campus.
My name is Amy Melcher. I am a senior research scientist and academic partnership consultant with NORC at the University of Chicago.
And good morning, my name is Joel Rodriguez. I'm an education coordinator, a curriculum coordinator at Service Center Region 20. Jamie and I are both local. Actually, Amy is also local. She works for North, but she's a local person here that helps us to affect the grant in itself. A few years ago, we were actually approached by NORC at the University of Chicago to apply for a grant for the Department of Education. And as we were approached by that opportunity, we wanted to be able to make sure that it stayed true to our core beliefs and our mission at the Service Center, which is to provide solutions for student success. You guys are our clients. The Southwest ISD is one of our clients as a Service Center. We provide support to you directly. And we wanted to make sure that the opportunity that was being proposed to us, that it would be something that would be mutually beneficial to all of the partners that were going to be involved in this process. The grant in itself was targeted at finding a way to be innovative in its approach to literacy, as the grant is named. And when we were approached by this opportunity, we wanted to make sure that as we looked at this, that there were 3 things that we could positively affect. And those 3 things were that the teachers on your campuses would have good professional development so that when literacy was approached, they would have the right tools and the right skill set to be able to deliver instruction in that regard. We also wanted to be able to target your campus leadership. So we wanted to be able to say, when we leave the room as a service center, that Southwest ISD can continue the work that we are promoting and offering as a solution to your campuses. And then the third thing, which was the most exciting to us at the Service Center, was that there would be an influx of resources for a dollar allotment so that each of your 3 campuses would receive books at their campuses. So, and not just at their campuses, but also at their homes. So we were awarded a $1.5 million grant by the Department of Ed, and we had to select 4 campuses. We had to target specifically rural and non-rural districts that fit specific criteria. So we selected 3 campuses from Southwest ISD and 1 from Charlotte ISD, Charlotte Elementary. And we took those 4 schools and then proportionally divided up $500,000 per year. And all we are primarily doing with that $500,000 is giving students in your classrooms books for all of their classroom libraries, upping the number of books in your true libraries on those 3 campuses, and then also providing students with a book for them to take home every month. This is no cost to you as a district. You don't pay us a penny for any of the work that is being done. The grant is funding a small portion of what we do to provide the service to you guys. But the biggest dollar amount from the $500,000 that comes over the course of the 3 years to equal the 1.5 is directly going to students. And that's what we are the most excited about, because this allows us to one, do a couple of things. And the first being that it allows students to be able to receive an inventory for themselves. They now have an inventory of classroom books, an inventory of home books that they can now call themselves, they can say for themselves that they have a library at their own homes. We wanted students to be able to, eventually long-term, be able to look at this and say, if we can learn to read at home, then learning to read at school is easy. And so we thought that if we could attach ourselves to not just teacher-to-teacher growth, but then teacher-to-admin growth, but then teacher-to-community growth, that was where we wanted to provide a solution. And that's what this grant specifically did. We work within an inquiry cycle where we take the organizational condition that you currently have and say, how do we work within your framework, your literacy framework within your campuses? We didn't come with any intent to change anything. We came with an intent to work within the model that you had and be able to increase the literacy practices that were in that framework. There were a couple of changes based off of your district decisions that were made for that framework, and that said we will take our framework and work within these cycles. So we provide the professional development to the teachers, and we'd say within this 8 weeks we're going to work and target a specific best practice in literacy. We have the textbooks and the books and the resources in the classroom to be able to help students be able to choose and select things, but we also wanted teachers to be able to provide training that would also be able to help increase the student learning that was in the classroom. And so from 8-week inquiry cycle to 8-week inquiry cycle, we look at this and target the growth within that best practice. We say, within that 8 weeks, did we see a growth from the teachers, and also did we see a growth from the students? At the end of that 8 weeks, if we feel like we need to continue with the promotion of that best practice, we continue moving forward. The cycle is intended to be cyclical so that we look back at all times to be able to say and make decisions from a data perspective to see if things are working effectively. We've been fortunate that as we moved into year 2, we've seen some growth already from the 3 campuses that we've been working with, and I'm going to let Jane speak to that.
Yes, so I'm the coach, the early literacy coach that has been working with the 3 campuses. I go there weekly. I'm there every day pretty much of the week at Hidden Cove, Indian Creek, and at Sky Harbor. And I predominantly work with everybody. I work from the teachers, the administrator, and they also, well, we have a literacy team in each of the campuses, which is compromises of teachers of each of the grade level. So they represent the voice of the campus. So anytime there is a decision, we collectively talk to that group. And when we talk to that group, we say, okay, what is working, what's not working. So what I would like for you to do, because I want to take a step back, on page 4, on the last page, there's a cycle model, which is what I help support. So what I do first is I go into what you call a need assessment, and it's basically what Joel said. I do not create any type of initiative. I don't create any type of new changes that I feel like it's an umbrella. I work on what needs to be worked with that campus. And so then I check, which is what you call a needs assessment, to see where the faculty is at that moment. Because sometimes what admin or administration may think needs to be done they probably were like, oh, that's great, let's move on. So I do the needs assessment. Then after I do the needs assessment, then I work with the literacy team, and I say, okay, so what do we need to do? Because there's only one of me, and there's like a very small group of you, so how can we roll out this plan? So then we roll out the plan. And then after we roll out the plan, then I provide a model teach, or I provide a mini PE with the campuses, depending on what it is. And now we're getting to the point where because the original model was that the administrator had teachers going to see other teachers, and that cost money because of subs, and also it took time from instruction. So what we did is now we're initiating what we call Iris Connect, and Iris Connect is basically an audio-visual program that they're videotaping the teacher, but it's not supposed to be for a T-test evaluation. It's supposed to help the teacher grow in pedagogy, and that has helped so much and has gained. Right now, the first cycle we worked on, which was what we call interactive read-along, we had basically 0% participation, which is where the teachers were not reading to the students. They thought that, well, you know, they get read home, or they would give a book, and they were really checking to see if the child was actually comprehending or gaining fluency. And so what we did was we did a rollout, and now 100% of all 3 campuses are participating with interactive read-along. We had teachers that literally would sit on their chair and would kind of like stay back, and now they're like on their chair, like telling their students, give me evidence, show me the evidence. So now there's a lot of students talk now, and we are gathering that data through qualitative data, which is Google Form data, so we have that to share with you if you ever are interested in that. Now the next rollout we have is a really intense rollout, which is a small group instruction. One of our campuses decided to start off with small group instruction, and in the beginning, because they didn't want to continue interactive read aloud, we had, when the needs assessment, which is basically to see where they were at, only one teacher had participated in it, and we were basically kind of stretching. We're like, it looks like small group instruction, but it really wasn't. But we're like, one teacher did it, right? So now, after an 8-week cycle, 100% of the campus is participating in small group instruction, and we looked at their benchmark data, and I believe 15 or 10 teacher grew in points in the benchmark data, like 10 or 9 points in that total. So we were extraordinary, like pleased. The coaches were dancing in the hallway. I was dancing, admin was dancing. It was just a remarkable change, because when we did the needs assessment, we always take a survey to see where the teachers need. What can I do as a coach? What can we do as a campus to help you? And what they asked was, well, we don't want to participate. We went from that to, oh my gosh, it's working, please help. Now our next phase is, okay, so let's work on questioning, let's work on the rigor, let's work on complexity. The next thing that we're also intertwining within and integrating is STEM, the STEM focus of it, because I have a specialty in STEM from my background. And one of the campuses is actually rolling out a STEM program with the books that are from it. So again, we're not bringing anything brand new. We're not saying, okay, buy this book. We're using what they're given, and they're really excited by it. So it'll be every grade level from pre-K through 5th grade is participating in all the cycles, as well as Iris Connect, as well as the STEM focus on there. So we're seeing a lot of growth. Now, as always, there's always room for growth. Next year, we're going to continue working, but just like I talked to all the admin, the teachers, the campuses itself, is that we're always going to grow, and we're always going to get better, and that the following year we're just going to refine that. So, and luckily I work with a really amazing team that we have worked together. Amy represents NORC, and so I'll let her share a little.
Yeah, so from the NORC perspective, we look at the design, we really develop the needs assessment and the rubrics that the teachers use, and the rubrics that the literacy leadership teams have used in looking at when the teachers have been recorded with the IRIS. So, we're really about building collegiality, a collaborative atmosphere, and, the whole kind of, I guess, point of it is to work ourselves out of the school and having, that capacity built right there. So a wonderful changes are happening in all these schools, and a real culture of literacy is happening. So it's very exciting work.
And the last part that I wanted to bring up is that in the program, there's a community aspect of it. Physicians are given allocated funds to provide libraries in their offices. And last year, the doctors had said that they were having a hard time filling out the grant paperwork because they felt that they they didn't know how to do it, or they just felt that, you know, with everything else going on. So what the schools did was they saw the need, so they actually developed a special team. And what they're doing is they're working with the physicians to fill out the grant paperwork. And that now, I believe 2 medical facilities here in your own neighborhood has actually said yes. And the campuses have taken it up on themselves, because one of the other things is classroom libraries. They're going to decorate the libraries just like they have done in their campuses, so that the students, when they're in the doctor's offices waiting for, you know, that wonderful flu shot, they can actually grab one of the books that will be decorated just like their campus they had in their own environment. So there's a lot of wonderful changes that we're seeing with the IEL grant. So thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your wonderful district.
Thank you.
You know, I get the fortune to be sort of like the Santa Claus, as we're in Christmas spirit, of the project, where I get to manage the $500,000 per year. And I told your campuses at the beginning of last year, I said, think of this as a huge piñata filled with books. And the more that you hit this piñata, the more that books fall out. I said, keep hitting until I tell you there's no more. And so as we've done that, we just emptied out the full $500,000 that we could last year, just to bring an influx of books to your students. One of the beautiful things is that every month students get to select a book for themselves and take that home, and it becomes part of their own library. So this really has helped address just the overall need that students need access to books. Your teachers are doing a fantastic job and continue to do a fantastic job of just being with kids to teach them the phonics and the literacy of how to be good readers. We're truly excited that you've allowed us to be a partner with that, and continue to help provide solutions for you. So thank you for your time, and we're looking forward to a great year 2 and then also year 3.
And I would just say that the success of this grant and the success of the ESC and our work would not be possible without the work of Velia. She has been such a blessing to all of us and to Southwest and to the 3 campuses. So thank you for everything.
Thank you. And we forgot to mention it's a $1.5 million grant.
Real quick, what happens after next year and we're out of the piñata?
So at that point, the classroom libraries that we've provided, they stay stacked to your campuses. We don't take those back. So classroom libraries, level readers that we provided, all of those stay with the district. Those we've actually, that was part of the one of the issues that we had as far as like, well, what happens when a teacher unfortunately leaves our district? You know, do they get to take all those books that they're provided? The answer to that is no. So we've worked together with your librarians to be able to code those books so that they're you know, tracked and kept with their campuses, so that no teacher walks off with them, that they stay with the campuses. The only books that will be going home are the ones that the students select monthly. Beyond the work of that, our goal is that ultimately, I mean, we want some job security and all this, right? We want to continue partnerships for sure. But one of the things that we've all collectively said as part of this grant is that we want your staffs to be able to continue the work of this when we are gone. You know, at the end of it, if there's an additional need for us, then we're glad to be able to come back to that table.
500,000?
The 500,000 wouldn't necessarily be needed unless you're willing to unload that. And then you can be Santa.
Man with the money, right?
I think his other question is there another piñata?
Yeah. So the grant is something that we could reapply for in a couple of years. So that's something that at the end of year 2, we'll get more information as to when we can reapply. So we're hoping that piñata gets reloaded for sure.
And those are things that NORC does, and we'll get into that, see what.
You were doing so good.
And so just as we wrap up, we did consider the other 8 campuses. So the grant has been very gracious to allow us to, when we do have some of those PD opportunities, I've asked him, can I allow for at least 8 more seats and at least bring those academic coaches from those other campuses so that way they get some of that learning as well and take it back. And they've been very flexible to allow us to do that. But on that note, I have asked Kaylani, which could not be here with us, which is one of the leaders in the grant as well, with LOCI and with NORC to begin the RFP process, so that way we can go ahead and continue some work with them as we move forward with our literacy framework for elementary, so that way we can involve the entire district. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. right, physical education curriculum, Kent.
Yes,
we have.
We understand that here.
Labor services.
Sorry. We on this side understand how to do that. We're excited about this one.
Pitching footballs.
No. Don't do that as much. We hand off. We're more of a costume.
Okay, so thank you so much for allowing us to come and talk to you as well. This will be short, it will not be long. It's really not only a PE curriculum, but it's a coordinated school health curriculum in our district. And why is this so important? So I wanted to show you some numbers and some screenings that we do on the health services side because that's what I know. So we screen for students in 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 7th grade for acanthosis nigricans, which is a darkening and change in texture in the back of your neck, which indicates that those students could potentially be at higher risk for developing type 2 diabetes. So in our district, an average over the last few years, we've had greater than 10% of students who have been screened have a positive marker. That means they've had that darkening and thickening of that change in texture in the back of their neck. The average for Texas is 5%. So we're double that. Also, among those students, we've noticed that half of those fall in the pre-hypertensive range. That means their blood pressure is a little high and actually pre-hypertensive or hypertensive. So that's already a concern in those grade levels. They also show an increased body mass index. So I want you to think about our students' future. There's an increased risk for adverse health outcomes. There is a potential for poor educational outcomes, and of course, increased healthcare costs. And while that doesn't impact them right now, it will in the future. So, in addition to that, it's also law. It's mandated by the state that we have a coordinated school health curriculum in place. And we reviewed a few. Actually, back in 2018, Bien Assad came to us and said, we are no longer going to be providing the district with a curriculum. We are going to have it online. And so when they told me that, I figured we really need to look to make sure that we have what's best for our district in place. And so we took it upon ourselves, as SHAC did, to review the TEA-approved coordinated school health curriculum, which was CATCH, the Great Body Shop, and Bien Assad. We took it to the SHAC. We also took it to PE coaches because they're the ones who implement it. And we wanted to make sure that they had a say because they know their students. They know what would work in their classrooms, in their gyms, and they know what would be effective. And so when we did that, it was decided that actually CATCH was the one that they felt would be the best fit for our district. And so Sean Lockridge, the PE coach, presented to the SHAC, and then the SHAC approved to go ahead and recommend to put into place the CATCH program. And why the CATCH program? It's based on the whole school, whole community, whole child model. And I'm going to show you that really quickly. And just so you see who's in the middle, our students. So it's very student focused, and it is very much around all, involves rather and integrates those components that surround the student. It's evidence-based. They have a slow, whoa, and go approach to nutrition, which is very easy to facilitate, very easy to understand on the student's part. They have a toolbox of activities that tie into nutrition that can be implemented in the PE class. The number of lessons, which is always a concern, were feasible to implement during the PE class because they not only have the physical education portion, they also have a health portion and the nutrition portion. So those would be definitely feasible to implement during PE. There's a family component as well, so families understand and know what's going on and what's being taught to their students. And we hope that families will gain some knowledge as a result too, because these are not only lessons for our students, but they're life lessons for them to carry on with them through adulthood. And there's also a free component that is Catch My Breath, e-cigarette, and Juul prevention. And I wanted to put that on there because I feel like that's a plus, being that that is definitely an issue in today's society among our youth. So that is definitely a plus. And again, PE coaches were in favor of it, and it did get recommended by the SHAC. So I'm going to hand it over to Coach Wagner so he can talk to you about the costs. That's his department, not mine. Yes.
So basically, in working with senior staff, that it is in all of our elementary schools. So each of our schools will pay their portion of it. It's actually a little bit more expensive for the elementary schools than the middle schools. It'll be a one cost that we'll do once we get approved. And so it's 11, I mean, you can see it up there, and the recurring cost of $300. It's pretty affordable by campus standards. They all have PE budgets. They will have to, a few of them will have to amend that to a certain degree. I presented to the principals last Thursday. They were all in agreement with that, including the amendments and all that kind of stuff. Our coaches are very excited about it. We actually had McAuliffe won a grant through the Education Foundation, in which they chose Catch, and they are already implementing some of those things at McAuliffe. So they kind of were part of that, and it was a very overwhelming consensus to go with Catch. That's all I have.
Okay. So that's all I have. We just wanted to bring that to you all and inform you of the new coordinated school health program that we will be moving forward with. Any questions?
Are you implementing that right now or next year?
So we're looking at January to train them.
Oh, okay.
As soon as we can get it, we want to get it going.
Okay.
Anybody else?
How is the training taking place? Is it going to be on their off days or during school days?
We will probably look at using the campus, our staff development days, and Catch will come in and they do it, and we'll pay for that training.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
One more P10.
Catch and ECHS update.
So I'm going to have Zelene present on P-TECH and early college high schools. What we're trying to do is remove the barrier of our students being able to take additional courses for dual credit. So currently, we do not have a designation, and so we have asked TA, we've submitted an application in order for us to get this special designation of P-TECH and early college high schools.
Okay. So I wanted to start off by saying that the pathways that we currently have, we're looking to enhance them with our dual credit opportunities, like Dalila was saying, to go above the 42 hours for core complete that we have without the early college high school designations. So the difference between P-TECH right now and early college high school is the opportunity. You still have your high school diploma, you still have your associate's degree, but you do have an opportunity to earn a certification, level 1, level 2 certification, and an additional work experience at with the industries. Right now, we currently have the 42-hour ceiling, so we want to go above that and have our students earn up to 60 hours or an associate's degree for early college high school designation. So our journey started back in May. I'm not going to go through every single bullet, but what we did is we really looked at the labor market statistics, look at what wages were in demand. So we know that IT was one. We're looking at just our regional workforce data. IT and health professions were the top two as we looked, and we met with our different administrators from the campuses to see, looking at your campus, what would be a good pairing for either early college high school or P-TECH for our CASTEM high schools. We also met with the 5 colleges, with Alamo community colleges, to see who would be able to support us. Our number of students, our cohorts, because we're looking up to 200 for early college high schools, starting with our 9th grade cohort of 150, and then also with P-TECH up to 75. So would they be able to support us for our 2+2 model, starting 2 years here at Southwest and then having all our students at the Alamo colleges. So we had several meetings with SAC, with PAC, with St. Philip's College to see. They all wanted to partner with us. They were eager to join on board on our journey through early college high school and P-TECH. So in September, we found out that Alamo Colleges did accept our request for proposal for our 3 campuses. So we started the planning phase, and we knew in October TEA was going to open the deadline for the applications. We had our first kickoff with our middle school and our high schools administration because our P-TECH and early college high schools are going to affect our 7th graders that are sitting at our middle schools right now. So what do we have to do? Bring awareness to the middle schools as far as TSI, getting them ready for dual credit courses. Also, in addition to that, we met with CNI, met with, again, campuses to really solidify our plans for early college, high school, and also for P-TECH. In the end, we looked at engineering and AMT for CAST-STEM. So we're looking at a 75, our 9th grade cohort coming in, which is the identified number right now is 75. Looking at P-TECH for engineering and for AMT for CAST-STEM high school. We also have for Southwest High School looking at Associates of Science for health professions, and then the Associates of Applied Science for cybersecurity. So we are offering for both high schools an academic and then also a workforce option for our students. Legacy High School will have the Associates of Arts in Teaching, and then the Associates of Applied Science also for cybersecurity.
Final second of our food.
We're at the top of Legacy and Southwest High School, creating pathways there, AM says whatever we have working, they would support our
And so,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, are you done?
They're just next steps. Okay. And then just following for next steps, we should hear back on our designation status from TEA in spring 2020. So if we do, if we are approved for the designation status, then we have a full year of planning. We'll have a TEA coach that will come in and work with us and our campus administration to get them ready for implementation year. So those are next steps.
Questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zerlene.
Well, the deadline's today.
Yes,
So
so
do we
going
vote
through the
on it?
going through the process, meeting the timelines, if the board has no desire to go down this, we always just pull the application. One of our struggles that we've had the last few years is we have some really high achieving students who want to improve credits and they can't beyond the 14 courses. We've been in meetings with all of the college ACTD, and they have some higher education board. They have some kind of caps that they can't go beyond unless we are an official designation. So
Right.
really, this is our only way to lift that cap. The P-TECH is an application, I'm going to tell you, it's very competitive. Applying for it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get it. I think they're going to award 11 out of
11.
200 applications. So we still want to put in for it, and we looked at P-TECH for a long period of time. We think we have strong partnerships. Everything P-TECH offers, we're able to do outside of P-TECH, but now P-TECH comes with additional funding, and it comes with a designation that says we can offer associates beyond the 14 courses as well.
But I mean, it's not something we have to approve or disapprove, right? Because the deadline to apply it today.
No,
Right.
we're going through the
already
application
did.
process, and I'm sure if it's awarded, we will come to the board to.
And get it approved.
Yes.
approve it.
Correct.
And actualize, yes. Correct.
Anything else? Thank you. Do you have anything before we go into executive session? Anybody? No? I'll read these numbers. Under Government Code 551.221-551-146, we will executive session.